And, you know, I hope if you managed to watch the office hours last week that there was some helpful stuff in it for you. Before we dive in this week, I am slow on the worksheets. I discovered there was a load of errors on them, so I'm editing them. They will be uploaded today. But really, it's better to just soak up the call, really, rather than, you know, try and I can't remember what I was going to say. You get the idea. Oh, I'm going to stop your video, Barbara, if you don't mind, from my end. That's fine, because it's not looking at you anyway, because it's turned around. It's kind of weird looking at a desk full of papers. But anyway. So what was I saying? So yeah, welcome back. Interesting working break. I'm not sure anybody had time to really do any work because we're in such tumultuous times. And interestingly, 2 of our group have not left our group particularly, but they have decided to leave Facebook completely. So I'm trying to decide how to handle that for them, because all this, here's a little kind of aside for you, that we're actually moving on to Mars, Venus today, and Aries, Taurus and Libra, but all this energy in Capricorn is actually causing people to create these massive boundaries that they've never created before, and go, I cannot take this anymore, kind of thing. So Flora and Bridget both have left Facebook completely, and apparently people are leaving in droves. So I hope no more of you leave while we're on this class. Some of you will know that I actually created my own second personal profile yesterday, not to shut down my main one. I'm still going to be probably primarily in my main one, but I just wanted a profile that was just for actual real life friends and family. And so you won't be leaving. Yay! Good. Because it's kind of like, is it me? No, I know it's not me. They both messaged me, and it's just causing people to go put a break on some of this. It depends where it is in your chart, I think, too, all this Capricorn energy. So we're just, you know, just an aside to go back to all this Saturn Capricorn energy that is so very strong at the moment. So we are now moving into the realm of the personal planets. We started with the outer planets. That's the slow ones like Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. And then we went to the transpersonal planets, because they kind of bridge the personal and the outer. And this is just kind of what they're called. And now we're moving into the personal planets. And yes, so I'm heading into my second Saturn return. Woo. So, and it's in my first house, so that kind of exactly fits setting up this barrier kind of thing personally. Of how I present myself on social media. So I wonder what's going to happen with you and your creativity and your joy and your fun. And what boundaries you're going to create, Bonnie. But anyway, let's get off Saturn for now, because that was just an aside. I just wanted to mention it as a real example of kind of astrology in action. It's what's happening. So we're moving to the personal planets, so called because they are the faster moving planets. They are the ones we feel most directly and intimately. They're the ones that can be seen with the naked eye when they're in the right place. they just have more immediate effect on us personally. Whereas like the outer planets, and the personal planets have effect on more kind of global scale, mass transformation kind of energies. So that's the first difference between all those planets. And of course, we're on to the Mars and Venus first, and they are the male and the female. So we are right into the divine male and the divine feminine, okay, today. And the anima and the animus, as Freud, that's his name, called it. So how we're going to do this is we are going to look at Mars and Aries first, and then we're going to do a short journey to Mars and Aries. And then we're going to look at Venus and Taurus and Libra. And I'll talk a little bit about how Venus does rule Taurus, but I also feel Ceres rules Taurus. But we'll come back to Ceres again later when I want to talk more about Ceres and Chiron in greater depth. So I think that's how I'm going to set it up. It's like which comes first sometimes with the astrology, the chicken or the eggs and the house system. We're probably also going to look at the house system or the house qualities in greater depth at some point. I gave you the sheet, but we'll probably talk about those in greater depth. And then we'll talk a little bit of integration. We'll look at some aspects. We'll look at the main aspects. They're called the Ptolemy aspects, and I'll explain more about that at the time. And yeah, let's get on with Mars right now. Okay, so Mars is I act. Mars is I'm just actually going to close a load of my Chrome windows. Okay, before I carry on, because I think this will affect my internet if I don't. But Mars is the male. You know, my teacher kind of said understanding Mars is understanding your man. But and it is, but it's more than that. It's more about understanding the more male aspects of yourself, the more left brain side of yourself, and where it is in your chart or where it is in your client's chart. And interestingly, on the subject of the divine male and the divine female, the last trip to Mars by NASA, I can't remember the name of the ship that went up there, did discover that there is actually water on Mars. So I find that very interesting because Mars as an energy has always been felt to be very dry, very arid. The kind of the worst aspects of the male, if you like. And I don't see it that way. I see it now as having the softer side also. But you know, you'll get the worksheets. You'll see that the male is yang energy. Okay, so we have the yin and the yang today. And you can't have one without the other. The universe is always completely balanced. So it's physicalities. It's very much, but it's how you move. It's how you walk. It's assertion and it's aggression. Mars is also anger. Okay. Fighting, competition. Of course, Mars is the god of war in the myths. And I'll maybe talk a little bit more about the myth after the journey, actually. In physiology, Mars rules the head, the blood, musculature. So you can see you kind of rules all the strength bits, because your head, in fact, Angela probably could talk to more. She's done kind of because of through her work, she does all that anatomy kind of thing. I think your head weighs a vast proportion of your whole overall body weight. The head is a very weighty part of your body, and it's a very strong part of your body. So Mars rules is the warrior. There you go. Yes, there you go. I knew you'd know. Mars is the warrior. It's the Olympic Games. It's the racing driver. It's yes. You have a very fast pace. Yeah. A lot of people with very strong Mars or very strong Aries energy, Mars ruled energy, have a very fast pace. It's slowed as I get older, but I generally have quite a fast pace too. Not just walking, I just move at a fast pace and I pick things up at a fast pace because I have quite a strong Mars in my chart too. So Mars is also kind of impulse. It's on impulse buying. It's doing things on impulse. It just likes to get things done, and it really likes to spark things and just move. Really. Mars is not very good at standing still. Okay, it's a cardinal planet because it rules a cardinal sign. It rules the first house, so it's very much about I am as well. Yeah, it's the leader as well. Mars is very much a leader. Okay. It kind of leads you into battle. So we'll talk about Aries too in alignment with it, and then we're going to do a short journey. And then we're going to kind of talk about more integration of all of this. So Aries is a fire sign, so of course Mars rules a fire sign. The modality is cardinal, so it's very initiating. Aries is the pioneer. It's very pioneering, independent. It's energizing. It inspires action. It's direct, very quick, very competitive, healthy self-interest. These are all the positive qualities of Aries. Okay. Risk-taking, very entrepreneurial. Where Aries is in your chart, or people with strong Aries are often entrepreneurs because they don't like being told what to do. So they like to be the boss and like to lead and like to do things alone a lot of the time too. They'll often take a lot on themselves because really it's quicker and easier to do it themselves for strong Aries energy. The shadow of Aries energy is aggression and anger, like in Mars. Very being too impulsive, very reactionary, very me first, very volatile, and very impatient. Now, just to give some examples of it. I have Mars in Sagittarius, and I have an Aries South node, okay, in my third house, which is the house of the voice. So my Mars in Sagittarius tends to be blunt to the point of cutting to the knife, because Sagittarius like to tell the truth. It's almost like I can't not be. And then add to that my South node. I have this soul habit in the house of the voice of being the vocal warrior, and that shows up all the time. So my bluntness and my cutting people off at the knees verbally can be a bit of a problem at times. I don't like anything to be seen as wrong overall in any chart, because it is what it is. It's what we're born into this lifetime to live. It's what we're born into this lifetime to learn and to, yeah, that's why I'm changing my Facebook partly, yeah. Also because I want to be able to say what I want to be able to say without people just that's a different aspect to my chart too. That's the Puella thing at the top of the chart, the Venus, Neptune, Scorpio. If ever I post anything, people think I need help. Exactly, I should be able to. Thank you. Oh, it's fine, Faye. Oh, you've got the flu too. Oh, yes, yes. I hear you though. Things are starting to be activated for me too, Faye. My second Saturn return starting in Orb now, and I have Mars and Pluto aspecting my Saturn. So we should be battling this together. Well, you saw I had the burns and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's just kind of an example of kind of the more aggressive side, especially with a South Node in Aries. Yeah, I'm being careful of my bones. Well, actually, mine was my teeth small. Okay. But the thing is, trouble is when you say be careful, often accidents happen too. It's kind of, yeah, anyway. So, yeah. You've set up a private Facebook group. Yeah. Well, you see, yeah, interesting. In fact, but anyway, that's back to Saturn and Capricorn. I don't want to get stuck on that. Let's stick to Mars. We can discuss these things in the group as examples if you want, if you guys would like to. You know, it's I did a private Facebook profile for the people I know in real life, but mine's more about sharing things like, hey, I just spilt hot oil down my arm, and I just want some sympathy because my family's in the UK and things. You know, it's not always easy to just call them, and I think they like to know what's going on. So you get the idea. But anyway, that was back to Saturn in Capricorn. It's so strong, that Saturn in Capricorn energy. It's kind of hard not to talk about it. By the way, I know Alice doesn't want to talk about what it is, but she has an important appointment this morning. Can we all send her strong vibes? Okay. She won't be on the call for ages. Now, interestingly, I'm just going to share the screen. I might quickly go through everybody's charts. So can you all see Alice's chart? Okay, seeing as she's leaving. Have I set the right one up? Could you say yes or no? Yes, cool. Okay, because it should have a green thing around it, and it's not showing me the green thing. But anyway, so you know, just a quick look. The most prominent kind of Aries Mars energy to my mind for her is the Chiron in Aries in the 10th house. That's kind of a bit of a core wound there. And funnily enough, it's in the house of Capricorn, and you're talking about judgment. So there's probably this core wound about being judged by others and being cut by others. I mean, cut to the soul by others publicly. So there you go. You've set the private group up. There you go. And then there's the Mars in Taurus, and Mars in Taurus is often kind of some aggression and some, but a direct. She's probably a very good manifester actually when she really chooses to be, because Taurus can be about manifestation. Yeah, also that Virgo criticism. Yeah, but Mars in Taurus is an interesting one because Taurus is very feminine, and it's a good mix also actually really. You're probably quite strong and very connected with nature. Yeah, you are. Yeah. But I'm not going to go into great detail with everybody's. I just want to kind of give a few little bit of an overview here. Okay. So Angela's chart. We'll look at the Mars and Aries. Interesting. Mars is in Libra, so Mars is in the sign that Venus rules. Again, it's kind of also a very good balance, but it also kind of makes can be some Mars Libra can be quite passive aggressive, and it can be a part of you that's quite hidden and you don't like to see in yourself. Or you may have been, you may probably grown out of it a little bit now. But Mars in Libra hard to access as well. But it's often but 12th house is often sometimes things seeing you that you can't see in yourself as well. Your sister tells you, yeah, there you go. Yeah, but it's others really see it more than you. And then your Aries energy, Saturn in Aries in the sixth house of work means you're very driven to lead, to do your own thing, to be the expert. And the North Node in Aries means in fifth house means really you actually have to learn how to really embody that in this lifetime and master that more direct energy. Okay. So bear in mind, please, that these are very quick ones. So I'm just going through alphabetically. Barbara, Venus in Aries. Well, we've talked about that on and on, I think, didn't we? Somewhere. But anyway, or somebody else had it right at the top of the chart. Really kind of very much the leader. Okay. And kind of taking more the male role in relationships. Okay. And where's Mars? I can't see it. Mars in Gemini. Oh, verbally, you are very much the direct teacher. You're like get straight to the point and with your words and communicate very directly. You probably have little patience with people that beat around the bush, Barbara. Bonnie. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. He's doing the other side of Gemini. Usual people with Mars in Gemini are very verbal, but does he directly communicate in other ways? Does he make it very clear what he wants? And there may be aspects to it that are causing that as well, Bonnie. Anyway, Bonnie has Mars in Pisces on the seventh house. That's an interesting, yeah, yeah. So he probably finds it very frustrating. So the aggression comes out. He probably wants to communicate, so he communicates through aggression. So, but anyway, Mars in Pisces. Okay, Mars in Pisces is always an interesting one. Often Mars in Pisces people are actually really direct channels. They can directly channel spirit, whether they know it or not. Because Mars kind of cuts through the confusion of Pisces. So they've kind of got a direct line to God, whatever their God is, or the collective unconscious. They really kind of can cut through that fogginess of what's true and what isn't, and what's really there and what isn't. Okay. But it can also have the shadow side of Mars in Pisces. Mars just doesn't like the woolliness of Pisces, and so it really kind of gets frustrated too. So, and of course, it's conjunct Chiron, which is a whole other story, but I'm not going to read whole charts here. And so, of course, your Sun in Aries, so no wonder you're not. No wonder you're have a fast pace. So, but in the eighth house, you again that kind of indicates a real direct connection to what's hidden and what lies beneath. So whether you acknowledge it or not, or whether you've owned it or not, you've got a real kind of clear is the word that comes to mind. Clear understanding of what's hidden, what lies beneath. You can kind of just cut to the chase and see it directly. I'm going to do Bridget and Flora's charts anyway, because I'm going to hope that they're subscribed to the playlist on YouTube for this. Might even break my rule and email it to them because I'm softy. But there you go. Okay. Mars in Gemini again. Bridget is a direct communicator, I can tell you that. But she also is very private about it. She doesn't like, and it's in the fourth house, so she doesn't actually like people to see it publicly at all. Okay. Interesting there, yeah. Aries, she's very much got great self-worth really around her work and things. Chiron in Aries, Jupiter in Aries, expansion, Lilith in Aries. She's a strong woman. She really is. She doesn't always recognize it because the Chiron in Aries, but really where that wound is, that wound where she was wounded for being such a strong woman is where her strength is. So, and she is. Casey. Mars in oh, a lot of you with Mars in Gemini. How funny. But in the 12th house. And conjunct Chiron. There's some kind of core wound there around your voice in many past lives about speaking directly that may be stopping you do it in this lifetime. Again, this is very basic, but look at that 10th house. Yes, it's intercepted. So excuse my dog, Ozzy. Here's a classic example of an intercepted sign. So it may be a little bit more difficult for you to access at times. I don't put that much emphasis on intercepted signs, though. I don't really focus on them too much. I might acknowledge a slight difficulty in accessing some energy, but I really, especially with 3 bodies in Aries, I don't think it's going to be that hard. So your North Node in Aries, learning to take the lead, be very direct in a very public way in the 10th place, and showing that you are kind of the leader. Jupiter, that expands that. With Venus in Aries, that's a very strong woman again, very powerful, being able to bring a lot of their male qualities in without being a male, if you know what I mean, without emulating. Okay, Faye. You have the South Node in Aries like me. You probably have to learn to be slightly less aggressive, less assertive, and to work more in harmony with people like me. We're not always good at it. The South Node, North Node, and we will be looking at the nodes too in more detail, by the way, everybody. The South Node, North Node axis is always one way of doing a whole lifetime, learning to loosen the grip of the South Node energies and learn the energies of the North Node, which are pretty alien to us in this lifetime. Okay. And that's our soul's path to move towards the North Node. I don't think we ever get rid of our South Node energies, though, and we should not make them all bad because they have their good points too. Sometimes it's good to cut to the point, but like me, we have to learn to be less reactive as well. That's another one. To not jump in. Constantly working on that for me. Yeah. Choose to take the dirty end in the stick. I've never thought of it that way. I think compromise. Learn to compromise is another one, another way to put it. You know, I'm not very good at compromising. Always. It might appear that I am because I'm learning it. And of course, you know, I like all you guys, but if somebody pisses me off, they get the South Node in Aries. Yeah. That's why I've got such a long block list on social media. And then look at this powerful Mars. Oh, and Mars in Virgo can be highly, highly critical. But Mars in Virgo is also very driven, often around detail and work and daily work, and very just very driven to get organized and get things done. But she's got Venus there too, so that brings in the qualities of both her North and South Node. So that's really lovely in her work. And Pluto and Mars together, she is just a powerful woman as well. We've got a lot of powerful people in this group. Powerful. And Flora, if you listen to this recording, Flora, I miss you. Flora and I were friends before this group, and I miss her on Facebook because we were Facebook friends. Bridget lives locally, so there's chances are we'll still keep in touch. It's going to be a bit different with Flora. I don't know. I guess we could choose to check in by email every now and again. I'm going to try it. But anyway. Oh, Flora. Your Mars is in Taurus in the 3rd house. Flora has always had a very strong voice and a very strong connection with the earth and that kind of the natural cycles of earth and life, and that's shown by her strong Mars in Taurus. I think she's got a very grounding voice as well. And her Aries energy, though, Chiron in Aries in the 2nd house with Venus in Aries in the 2nd house. She again is another powerful woman, and interesting, the 2nd house is ruled by Taurus. But with that Chiron in Aries, there's again that core wound about her self-esteem and about her self-worth as a leader. Okay. Jennifer. Where's your Aries? I can't see. Oh, there it is. So your Aries, is got no planets in it, but it's still on the cusp of the 4th house. So it's around the home and your inner home. you kind of probably are the boss in the house, the leader. It's also probably one of your parents. Your early childhood might have been a little bit aggressive, from one parent or the other. It's one parent often. Or just very, somebody could have been quite domineering in your early childhood, one of the parents. Mars in Capricorn, that's that fabulous energy. Yeah, and yeah, just get into that. Mars in Aries, yeah, Mars in the first house, in the house of Aries, definitely makes it more Mars-like. And your dad was more dominant. Yeah, that figures. I mean, there's always one more dominant parent, but it's often very domineering with an Aries. It just is. Mars in Capricorn, a leader, very much a leader and an expert again, and does make it more Mars-like. I actually have known Jennifer for a long time. I don't think she's really doing her Mars yet in her first house. In Capricorn, I don't think she's really showing that, her expertise and leadership yet, but then she is in new mum phase, and a lot of that kind of goes out the window for a little bit then, because you've got other focuses. It will come, I think, as well. The first house we often kind of become more as we get older. Okay, just like the rising sign. Caro. Mars in Libra, again, there can be more that passive aggressive aspect, particularly in groups and organizations and groups of friends. You know, I would watch for that at work, that you could have that passive aggressive side to you. But in other respects, you can be a very direct leader to groups of women. So there's the yin yang side of that, or in all of that energy. Aries on the 5th house, creativity, a leader in creativity, and a very direct creator, you know, probably very prolific, which I think you are. You're always writing poetry and things, and also very fun, very you know, 5th house is fun as well, and joy, and you probably just really go for it in that respect. I'm gonna have some fun. Okay, Kimberly. Mars in Virgo. Oh, we had somebody with Mars, Pluto, Virgo already. What a powerful combination, but also very hypercritical sometimes. In the 8th house, you could probably really cut people to the quick. With Uranus there as well, that's that kind of higher mental activity kind of thing. I would also suggest that there's an element of 9th house in this as well, of truth speaking. In the 8th house, it's getting to the bottom, the hidden. It's also a place of difficulty, power plays in relationships. Not very happy to give up power, but also feeling powerlessness sometimes in relationships, or trying to overpower others in intimate relationships is deeply bonded. Okay. Aries in the 3rd house. Isn't that always an interesting combination? This is another intercepted house, and you know, she has Pisces on the cusp, which makes her voice, I would imagine that's quite a difficult combination, because Aries in the 3rd means she can be really direct communicator, but then Pisces kind of muddies it a little bit, and people might not hear what Kimberly's saying, even though she's actually expressing it very clearly. That's an interesting combination there. Lorraine. Do we have anybody else? We have Rose. Yeah. Lorraine. I won't show you mine. I don't need to do that. Lorraine. Mars in Pisces. I always think of Mars in Pisces as a direct line to God, really, whatever God is, the collective unconscious, to spirit, and especially in the third house. Lorraine, have you ever had any channeling experiences? I spilled my coffee. Do you hear things or speak things? I don't know if she's there listening.
Yeah.
Sorry? Hi.
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Yeah, not surprised. Yeah. Yeah, it's something you could really develop. Yeah. Yeah, Mercury's in Gemini also. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, do you use it at all in your work or life?
It comes involuntarily.
Involuntarily. Yeah. Yeah. You could actually use it for work if you chose to. It's that strong, but that's up to you completely. Not everybody's happy to step into that role. So, and there's probably other elements which we can't, without looking at the whole chart, we can't. But yeah, especially, you've got that strong communication. Yeah, with the other, it's yeah, very strong channel. And Aries energy, again, you probably really like to have fun. You're probably quite you're probably the kind of person who says yes, let's go do this kind of thing to have some fun. You're probably kind of quite direct in how you communicate, like creatively and things. So yeah, Aries on the fifth house, they're usually very fun people to be around, because they like to kind of drag you out of your shell and say, let's have some fun. Rose. Well, Rose has, I mean, I went straight to Aries here. I know I'm not going to Aries first and some and Mars in others, but Rose has this moon Chiron in Aries with groups and things. So that's kind of some core wound around groups and organizations and friends. And I do know that's true. Yet she has this real kind of emotional leadership quality as well. So the good thing about Chiron in any sign is that it might be your core wounding, but it's where you can also help others. So she could probably help others to leadership in groups and organizations as well. Mars in Capricorn, we've already talked about that being a very strong leadership thing. It's in her relationship houses. So, it's not an easy position for a woman to have in our society in relationship houses, because our society has a bit of a struggle with strong women in relationships often. It's just a matter really of finding the right person who can stand that, basically, and allows you the freedom to be that strong person, which you are. And it's no point in trying to not be that person in the relationship. Okay. All righty now. Well, so that took a little bit longer than I expected. So I'm just going to get the music up and going. We are going to do, or maybe I'll just drum this one. Well, actually, I'm not going to. I'm quite tired, so I don't know why. I'm still recovering from all that shit. I feel loads better, but all that having your whole arm and your mouth hurt and everything at the right time, and getting a bit of cellulitis, which has gone, by the way. I finished my antibiotics today. It's funny how a tiny bit of cellulitis can make you feel like shit. especially in conjunction with dental work. So I'm sure I had something else going on. Oh, my ear infection too. I've had 3 lots of antibiotics in the last 3 weeks, and I never take them. So this is just going to be a 10-minute one, actually. It has some flute in there too. It's a nice one. I have listened to this one before. So make yourselves comfortable, and we're going to journey to the upper world, to Mars. And, you know, Mars rules Aries, so let's journey to Mars and see what he has to say to you. I'd be interested to see if he has anything to say to you about this water being on him, about the more feminine, gentler side of Mars, showing his face really, as we shift into this new paradigm. So here we go. Sorry. Okay. Well, hang on. In the interests of time, because we're already at the first hour, I'm going to turn my video on. I'm not going to ask you to share now your journeys. If you choose to share in the group, you can, but really it's for you to get to know this energy. If you want to type anything in the chat, that's can, if there was anything like really amazing for you. But I'd rather press on a little bit. Okay, with Venus. So, as I said, the worksheets will be coming as well, so you can look at charts through them. I discovered all kinds of errors. I created them over my weird vacation time. Anyway, so I'm going to go to Venus, the divine feminine. Okay. The key word for Venus is I relate. Now, Venus rules both the throat, that's the Victorian, and the kidneys, which is very Libran. Okay. And Venus does rule Taurus and Libra, though I am going to say that I also think Ceres rules Taurus. Okay. And Venus therefore rules the 2nd and 7th houses in traditional astrology. All right. So Venus symbolizes relationship, but I think relation is often not talked about enough, to my mind, that Venus is relationship to everything, all matter. So other people. Oh, sorry, it's because the mic turned around. There we go. I turned the mic to the computer so you could get the drumming. So yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for quickly getting on that. So Venus symbolizes relationship to all material things, including other people, but including money, and including, you know, your relationship to nature, your relationship to really everything that you can see, hear, feel, touch, kind of thing. So, you know, Venus is about relationships, but not just relationships. Okay, so when I think of Venus as relationship, it's relationship to many things. So Venus is also a beauty, love, more of the romantic kind. Really, Neptune and Pisces are kind of the transcendent, unconditional kind of love. So Venus is more of the love in relationship to people. It's more matter, physical. Okay. Venus symbolizes attraction. Venus is also values, your core values. Those of you that are in my sisterhood and have done other courses with me know that I talk a lot about core values. And in the Venus retrograde class I did, and I talked a lot about core values too. And I will be doing that Venus retrograde class again, starting probably 1st of September this year, because we have another Venus retrograde coming up in different signs. But anyway, so we talk about a lot of Venus related things in that class. Interestingly, this year we have a Venus retrograde and a Mars retrograde, and we don't have both in one year all the time, because they don't retrograde every year. So Venus is desire. Venus is sensuality as opposed to sexuality. Venus is taste and style and the arts. Okay. Images of Venus are Aphrodite, the art gallery, the interior designer, you know, the beautiful sculptures, voluptuous sculptures, wedding, romance novels, really anything Venus makes you feel good, really. Okay. It's anything that makes you feel good in relationship to others. Okay. Venus is often, and I get on my little hobby horse again, in a lot of astrology as well as in society, Venus has often been portrayed as very passive. And it can be passive because it kind of sits back and doesn't like confrontation. That's coming into the realms of Libra. But Venus is often portrayed as very sappy. But if we see Venus as Eve and Lilith as Lilith, the two wives of Adam in the myth, Venus was actually kind of a bit more subtly subversive, where, because after all, she picked the apple and all that kind of stuff in the story. So Venus has her own strengths, and well, that's just my opinion. So we come to qualities of Taurus, which Venus rules. And Taurus is an earth sign and a fixed sign, which means they really don't like change very much, but they also like to root things and make things solid. Taurus is a natural builder. Taurus embodies natural animal wisdom. Taurus is very grounded, patient, practical, persevering, very loyal, very affectionate, very sensual. Taurus really is the body. Oh, I've just noticed it's 11:11 here. Anyway, so it's about your innate relationship to your body, Taurus. Taurus is the nature lover and preserver. And Taurus is not really pretentious. Okay. Now, the shadow of Taurus, I know well because my mother is a Taurus, and she does have some of those good qualities, I will say, but she has quite a lot of the well-known quality of Taurus, that shadow quality, that is being stubborn and bullheaded. They resist change. Part of the thing about being a fixed sign, both Scorpio and Aquarius less so, but in some ways it does resist change. But Taurus is the one that really resists change. Now, if I'm actually going to get a chart up while I talk about that. Whose chart? I'm actually just going to put the chart of the day up, okay? So we're not really looking at anybody's chart, because this does have Aries on its natural house. I happen to know it did when I looked at this before the call started. If you think of the houses, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, going as a soul's evolutionary cycle. I think we've talked about this before. And Taurus being the first fixed sign. That's why it's more fixed than the others. Whereas Aries being the first cardinal sign is more cardinal than even the other cardinal signs, if you like, more initiating. So that's just, and so on and so forth. Gemini is kind of the first, the more changeable of the mutable signs. Okay. So I kind of look at it, that first quadrant is kind of the real toddler child area, where it's less complex, it's more simple. And then when you get to the third quadrant, when we get to Capricorn and Sagittarius and Capricorn and Aquarius, because Aquarius rules the 11th house. I was thinking of my own chart. When we get to those last three, the signs have got a bit more complex. They're a little less completely, directly, simply mutable, cardinal, and fixed. That makes sense. Okay, I kind of went off again. Other shadow things of Taurus are that they are territorial, possessive, can be quite materialistic, and obsessed with security. Okay. The temptation with Taurus is really to really have lots of material and physical and practical securities that focus really on protection and being defending rather than building, whereas the evolutionary side of Taurus is to live as a master builder, devoted to developing enduring things, physical structures, a beautiful garden, things like that, but not coming from a place of fear, of safety. Okay. So that's more the Taurus side. If we look at the Venus qualities, right? The Libra qualities of Venus. Libra is an air sign, so it's more of the mind. Okay. It's a cardinal sign. We just talked about Aries was the first cardinal sign. This is the second. Okay, where is it? I'm not with it today. No, Cancer is the second. Sorry, but we'll be talking about that when we get to the moon. Libra is relationship focused, other oriented, diplomatic, sees both sides, loves fairness. Okay, it's a real principle to live by, fairness. Social justice oriented too, cooperative, considerate, mediating. Often has very Libra, or people with strong Libra often make very good mediators. or negotiators. Patron of the arts. They often achieve balance through perspective and pacifying and playing devil's advocate. That can be where some of this, they can also, we're going to the shadow actually already. There's the peace at any price kind of thing, smoothing things over, being very vacillating and indecisive, placing too much emphasis on appearances is often a real Libran thing. Worrying about what the other thinks, or worrying about what people's opinions think, opinion of them is. The shadow of Libra as well is difficulty saying no. Having a no as a complete sentence is a really good kind of motto to have on the wall for somebody with strong Libra energy. They can also be quite contradictory and contrary and argumentative. I had a Libran friend who was just emanated all those last three things. She would argue about anything. She would argue black was white, and she didn't like it if you pointed out the kind of contradictory elements in her argument. Okay. So the kind of the temptation for a Libran, yeah, playing devil's advocate is a side of Libra too, and that can be a good thing though, because sometimes they can be contrary and contradictory for the sake of it as well, not just to play devil's advocate. You know, it's almost like they can't not do it. This is only if they're showing the more shadow elements. Okay. The temptation really for any Librans or strong Libra energy is to create balance by erring on either side of the scale. It's kind of the peacekeeper as an unconscious role, or disturbing the peace in the name of justice. I'll read comments in a minute. The evolutionary path of Libra is to develop the self through encounter with one's soulmates, thereby learning to balance the art of cultivating peace with the talent for challenging and changing perspectives. In either case, bringing light to situations of disparity and inequality. Oh, Librans make great lawyers. I saw you ask about law schools, actually. On a personal note, you got in touch with Venus. It's Virgo's sun. I'm going to read it, actually, if that's all right, Faye, because the chat doesn't always go on the recording. So on a personal note, I got deeply in touch with my Venus in Virgo around the time of my Chiron return. I met someone, which always occurs around age 50, okay. I met someone who really opened me up to a side of myself I never knew about. His Virgo sun was conjunct my Venus, and his sun is a moon in Pisces, and the 7th helped me to understand my 12th Earth moon. The relationship nearly broke my marriage, but it was definitely a karmic Venus heartfelt relationship. Yeah, it really does relate to Venus, okay. And it would have been very difficult to say no. That would have been a very karmic connection. And learning about a side of you through the other is very Libran. Okay, very Libran. And mirror work is very Libran. You know, if you, not just through that kind of intense relationship. And that, bear in mind, that could come through a relationship with anybody. You know, it doesn't have to be a person of the other sex. It's, yeah, that would have been very karmic, and learning so much about yourself through the other person. That's so Libran. Okay. Librans often have to bounce ideas off people. They can't, because they can't always, they have to learn through the other. Okay. They have to decide through the other. Yeah, you would have done too. You would have learned a lot about your 12th house moon as well. Yeah. But congratulations for keeping those boundaries and saying no, and not, because those relationships are not always kind of meant to be forever. Oh, thank you for sharing. We share through, we learn through these stories and examples. That's how astrology works, really. You know, the more readings that you do, the more you learn about other people and their charts, the more the astrology stays rooted into your soul. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, so let's have a quick look. I know I vacillate through going through charts, but I just felt it was with the personal chart planets. I feel looking at the charts is even more relative or important. So I'm going to go backwards this time, just because I always feel like must be my North Node in Libra. I try to be fair. I'm learning to be fair and not always doing one way, so I'll go backwards. So Rose, you have Pluto and Uranus in Libra, and it's on the cusp of your 5th house. And well, you've had a lot of transformation through relationships with the other, I would say, and a lot of changes in relationships in your life, and in relationship to all things other. Okay, so this is also children. Okay, interesting that you have Uranus in Libra in the 5th, which denotes children really when they're younger, and Rose's much of Rose's focus, should we say, in life has been that her son is gay and helping him to come out as gay and live as a gay man in a very in a culture that is not necessarily very accepting of that. Let's say, I'm choosing my words carefully there, but you'll know what I mean. And Pluto in Libra in the 4th house, there's probably been quite a lot of change in relationships and some difficulties in relationships in the home. Okay. But also you can also bring that personal power and change into those relationships with Libra there. So your Venus in Pisces, right at the top of the chart, strong connection with nature, with a focus for Rose, you should all know, on monarch butterflies, actually, on creating monarch butterfly gardens. But also there could be some interesting you've made this year about kind of getting on top of or getting the money thing, building, creating, because often with Venus in Pisces there can be some coming and going of money. Okay. And up ebbs and flows, because it's a very watery sign, and in your career that's probably shown up too. So we'll go back to Lorraine. So just so you know, I'm just going to talk about whichever jumps out first, whether it's Libra or Venus. And the Libra jumped out here. And you have Neptune in Libra, and Libra on the cusp of the 11th house. Again, that would kind of come to the connection with the other in groups and things as well. But in Libra, I would be interested to know if you've been involved in a lot of kind of groups that are around, their kind of focus is on fairness in some way, fairness and justice. I'd be interested to know if you've been drawn to those kind of groups in your lifetime, with Libra on the 11th house. Okay. And about creating balance in some way. Venus. Oh, those lines just appeared. Did I just do them somehow? by accident. I think I did. Your Venus in Cancer. Venus in Cancer, that's such a nurturing space for it to be in. It's also, it's a very loving, very motherly kind of energy. And in the 8th house, I bet you're a very loving, nurturing kind of partner in your relationships, your deeply bonded relationships. Probably wanted to be nurtured too, though, as well. Maybe not always got it. Kimberly. Oh, my eyes are going. Oh, there you are. You're intercepted Libra. Okay. So your Libran energy here, I would say the Libran energy is a little bit harder to access for sure, because you don't even have any planets in it. So you're kind of softer, more of, how to describe it, relationship energy is a little bit difficult. Yeah, I'm going to come to that as well. Yeah, because the Libra's in the 9th house, which is ruled by Sagittarius, and you have Venus in Sagittarius also in the 11th house. Really, I bet you don't do relationships very well, because you want personal freedom, and you just really kind of can't really access that kind of energy very well. Okay, Venus in Sagittarius is very freedom loving, and doesn't really want to be tied down very much often. Okay, especially for a woman with Venus in Sag. With that Libra intercepted as well, I would have felt it's very hard to find what's true for you in relationships. Okay, and yet you have that Scorpio wanting the merging. They don't go very well together, those. So I know she hasn't actually been able to. Pisces moon can go either way. That's a dual sign too. So Pisces moon can be more connected, wanting to be connected with kind of that universal unconditional love, not the material, physical kind of love, if that makes sense. Okay. Caro, your Libra is on the 11th house. I think we mentioned it with the Mars in Libra also. And you are Sun in Libra, of course, and your Pluto in Libra and Mars in Libra. So that's kind of really powerful, Libra. Often I think you're going to be a lot around groups, organizations, but a lot of transformation through the other, through your relationships to the other. Okay. Rather than coming from the self, like is very Aries. You've got to have a lot of growth, personal growth through all your relationships, through what you learn from them, I would say. Also, her talking of the art side of Libra, Caro is a writer. She works too, and a lot of the themes of her writing are about kind of transformation, and poetry is often a form of very transformative writing too. So that's all kind of showing up there with her energy. And your Venus in Scorpio, I have Venus in Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio gets such a bad rap, but generally we do like sex. But we're also known as being very stingy and things. But also it's this real, you have Uranus there as well, which makes it really interesting. But Sorry, why? Why what? I don't get why to which bit, because I rattle on before I see the comments. Oh, God, Venus in Scorpio gets a horrible rap for the sting in the tail, for being vindictive and being kind of the femme fatale who really stings. Yeah, it does. I know that because I have Venus in Scorpio, so I read about it all my life. And there is that part of Venus in Scorpio that can be very stung and want to sting in relationships. But often a lot of astrological writing focuses on that when Venus gets into Scorpio. Every time it's in, I read it. Oh my God. Or maybe I just see that because I have Venus in Scorpio. But yeah, but it's not really that bad. It's also very deeply loving. It really, Venus in Scorpio really, there's nothing shallow in the relationship. Exactly. I'm writing the different story. Okay. Interestingly, myself and my husband, maybe I will show my chart about this one at the end because I have Venus in Scorpio too. Myself and my husband both have Venus in Scorpio at exactly the same degree. And we have a very intense relationship at times, which is interesting for two Sagittarians, because we're both Sagittarius. But we have this intense connection that we see each other in each other. It's very very interesting. Can I discuss? Yeah, Venus in Scorpio sorry, yes, thank you. I got off track. Venus in Scorpio in the 12th house is often also this very deep connection with the muse, really, and the mystery. Also, probably very she probably channels a lot of her poetry and creativity, because the 12th house can be a creative place too, but it's more a creative place where it comes through you, not from you. So you're welcome. Thanks for getting me on track. Oh, okay. Another Venus in Scorpio. Jennifer, have you noticed the talk, because you're on here? Have you ever noticed, or has she gone? She may have gone. I think she had to go. Children, probably. So I won't ask her the question. So I mentioned the Venus in Scorpio already. In the 11th house, she has connections with groups of friends and things, quite intense connections and bonding with groups and organizations. And with astrology, interestingly, in the 11th house. And Libra, well, she has Libra, strong Libra. Look at this. Oh, Venus, Saturn, Pluto, Lilith, all in Saturn, all really at the top of her chart, all her mission in life. And oh gosh, what's it called? Her business. It's got balance in the thing anyway. Oh, Jennifer, what's your business called? It's perfect for this. We've talked about it a lot because she's a leader in the themes of balance and bringing balance in. And that's what she wants to bring expansion to, in a way, and transformation. Helping people how to balance. And it could not be stronger in her chart. Balance on purpose. That's it. That's her business name. So it's like her soul's purpose, Pluto, is to bring balance in life, and her business is called Balance on Purpose. That's just hilarious. So she's on target there in her life for sure. Flora also has Pluto and Uranus in Libra. Again, huge transformation through the other. Often kind of Pluto in Libra can be a bit of power plays in relationships, especially because she has it in the house of Libra that's ruled by Libra as well. So both transformation through relationships with the other, but also being transformed by, I would say, with both those placements in it. And there's a big focus on her most deeply bonded relationships and on learning through them. And her Venus is in Aries, and in the second house, that's powerful woman, self-esteem. We talked about the Chiron in Aries already, but Flora has very good self-esteem, and Venus in Aries in that house would, despite the wounding, she's kind of overcome it. Faye. Well, we kind of talked about yours here with the Mars. You've got both of them in there. Venus in Virgo, Virgo's a very feminine sign. It's one who is whole unto herself. And looking at your whole kind of chart, really, I'd say you're very, very independent, very, very got it together kind of thing. You may not always feel like it, but, overall, you really have. You've got you probably as well are not very good at delegating. You kind of feel like you have to do it all with the Virgo, and it'd be very self-contained with it being in that fourth house of the inner home too. Okay. Well, yeah. Because Virgo is on the cusp of the fifth, you could bring it into there as well. But I still think there's a lot to do with about you being very self-contained. Would you describe yourself as being a very, self-contained person? Yeah, you are, I think. Leo, of course, is also. But with that Pluto, Mars, and Venus all together in Virgo, very self-contained. And in the fourth house, that's about your inner self. But if we also talk about it with the fifth house emphasis, with Virgo being on the cusp in fifth house, that's in your creativity as well. You're probably quite organized creatively. Some creative people are some creative people are very organized. Yeah, I bet too. Libra, as I said, these are quick readings. There's as you're finding out, there's lots of shades and lots of aspects in a reading. And to my mind, that's where the experience and the intuition starts to come in readings as well. The tendency at first, and I think some of you are still at that stage and some of you have moved beyond it, is to try and cover everything or to be very robotic and go, it could be this, 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 it could be this. That's where you start to get your intuition kicking in and start to look at the whole chart as well. I mean, I realize because of the nature of learning astrology, we are looking at these things quite separately. And I think that's necessary at first, but then you start to see it in the context of the whole chart the more you practice. Back to that, practice. So you're Libra. So you do have Libra in the fifth house, and but not on the cusp. But you do have that creative bent, as we know. But also Libra on the house of Virgo, where your Venus is. So you kind of got this Libra, Virgo mutual reception thing going on. So I bet you are one of the most organized kind of creative people. But I don't necessarily mean in the organized kind of, but more in the systems way, not in the neat and tidy. I hate that reading of Virgo that it's always neat and tidy, because I don't see it as that. But they've kind of got this organization in the chaos kind of thing going on. You know, they'll know what's in their piles and know what's everywhere, and they'll kind of have this system that works for them. Okay, so I don't really mean neat and tidy. Yeah, everybody feels that. No, I think we don't know anybody that doesn't. Yeah, as I said, there's the whole chart thing too. But I bet you can lay your hands on things when you need them generally, because you, as long as nobody else messes up your stuff. So that's kind of what I feel more organized. It's not having filing systems particularly. It's your own version of organized. Creative organization, let's call it. Okay. Whereas some people, you know, they just have no clue where things are and stuff. I have several Virgo friends, and they're not neat and tidy at all, but they're organized in their own way. Their systems work for them. So, but that Virgo critical thing, they always think they should be doing better. So, Casey, your Venus in Aries, another powerful woman, especially with Jupiter conjunct and in the 10th house that's ruled by Capricorn. You are a leader for sure, through and through. But also able to bring those more feminine qualities of leadership in without having to be the assholey type leader, I would say. And Libra in the 4th house, it is, you know, all the Aries Libras intercepted, just to mention that again. But you know, with the South Node in Libra too, there's probably internally, despite your leadership qualities, there's probably always been that having to check with other people. Am I doing this right? Is this working? Asking other people's opinions. Okay. Bridget. Venus in Sag at the top with Neptune. Yes, she says, yay. Venus in and Neptune in Sag at the top of the chart. She channels truth. Anybody channel truth like Bridget can do if she wants to. She doesn't want to do it in her work, that's for sure, but that's fine. She also has very entrepreneurial qualities and brings and Venus and Neptune is also very focused on beauty and things, feeling good and things. And at the moment, she's actually doing a lot of work in staging and kind of design work, which is fabulous. But in Sagittarius, she's going around different places to do it, which is so perfect because it gives her the freedom. So that's another aspect of the Venus and Neptune up there in Sagittarius. And Libra. Libra's on the 8th house in Pluto, transforming again through relationships to the other, most definitely, and bringing transformation through it. Bonnie, you've got Venus in Pisces in the 7th, with Mercury there. Oh, I'd say you pick a lot of stuff up from other people. You're probably really, really, really empathic. You could probably even actually almost read people's minds a little bit with that strong connection with the other. But also Venus in Pisces in the 7th is kind of a bit of a romantic, you know, feels like you pick things up, yeah, or read people's minds, yeah. But also very romantic Venus in Pisces in the 7th, you know. wants all relationships to be nice and loving and a bit kind of higher love than just love, if you like. And Libra. Libra on the second house. Often a lot of self-esteem and self-worth. Yeah, it is. I know it's conjunct the South Node. I just don't want to go into full reading kind of things. Yeah. So, sorry, Libra on the second house. Really, because we're almost at 2 hours already. Okay. Venus in the Libra on the second house. A lot of self-esteem has probably been through bouncing ideas off others and checking with is this right? Am I doing this right? This kind of thing. But also, self-esteem through providing some balance and harmony in your life. Okay, your resources may come a lot from others. Okay. Barbara. Kind of off subject, some of the degrees. Oh, that's retrograde ones. They were retrograde on the but that's just the way my astrology, this software does it. So the ones in red, they were retrograde when she was born. It's all right. Sometimes it'll say R, sometimes it'll be in red. Venus in Aries, another Venus in Aries. Well, we have so many Venus in Aries in this group. Oh, and right at the top of the chart, another powerful woman. Yeah, I think we mentioned it with the Aries already. So, a bit of a leader of other women, really. Squeak. You are a powerful woman, Barbara. And you know it. And then Saturn, Neptune down there in Libra. So, that's kind of this internal strength and knowing, I think, but not seeing it yourself. Others probably see that in you more than others. Last but not least, I'm not going to look at mine because we're nearly out of time. Venus in Aquarius. Oh, you're the only one with a different one. Venus in Aquarius is kind of interesting in a relationship because they like kind of a bit of freedom in their relationships, freedom to be them, freedom to express themselves differently because it's in the third house too, of the voice. It's kind of a don't tie me down kind of thing. It's but yeah, it is. And then Libra on the 12th house, a strong connection. Yay. Libra on the 12th house with Mars in there. That's really this strong connection with the collective unconscious, with the higher love, and with higher creativity kind of thing, and really, I've seen pictures of your house sneakily on Facebook, and you like everything to look beautiful and to feel right. I bet feel beautiful more than trying to impress other people. Everything has to feel nice in your private areas of life. I'm not going there. Anyway, one last journey. Yeah, but more in a feel thing, more than kind of just looking beautiful to impress others, which can be Libra. This is really for you. This has to feel like it's good, feels good. I'm going to do one last journey. Yeah. And do surprisingly journey to Venus, and then we are going to be at the 2 hours. So I am going to say let's just go back into the group. Okay. And I'm going to do the same one because it was 10 minutes. because we are doing 2 journeys. All right. So I'll see you guys in the group, and I'll see you next week. And come on, give me some homework. Give me some work to do. Okay. Okay, thanks everybody, and I'll see you in the group, and I'll get those worksheets up.